Mazda has been quietly building one of the sharpest compact crossovers in the segment, and the CX-50 is proof of that ambition. But a closer look reveals some uncomfortable truths that don't show up in the brochure. If you're shopping in this class, there's a real case to be made that your money is going further somewhere else. Here are 6 reasons why the Mazda CX-50 might not be the right call right now. Number 6. Thirsty engines. There's a certain expectation that comes with buying a modern compact crossover. You want the weekend capability, the comfort, the refined feel, but you also don't want a fuel bill that quietly drains your account every month. That's where the CX-50 starts to disappoint. The base naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine is rated at just 24 miles per gallon city and 30 miles per gallon highway, numbers that look acceptable until you stack them against the competition. The Turbo 4, which is the engine most buyers are drawn to, drops that figure even further, landing at 23 miles per gallon city and 29 miles per gallon on the highway. In real-world driving, the gap between what the CX-50 burns and what key rivals consume is becoming harder to ignore. The Honda CR-V hybrid is pulling 43 miles per gallon combined, and even non-hybrid versions of competing crossovers are pushing past 30 miles per gallon with ease. The Turbo 4 especially stings here because buyers who step up for more performance are also accepting noticeably worse efficiency. And in today's fuel cost environment, that's a trade-off that adds up fast over the life of ownership. The engines aren't bad, they're just significantly thirstier than what the segment is moving toward. And if you think the fuel costs are frustrating, wait until you try to load the thing up for a road trip, because the cargo situation is its own problem entirely. Number 5. Small cargo area. Cargo space is one of those things that seems fine until the day it isn't. Loading up for a weekend trip, a hardware store run, or a family airport pickup. That's when the CX-50's compact hold starts to show its limits in a very real way. With the rear seats up, the CX-50 is offering a cargo hold that fits 9 carry-on suitcases. The Honda CR-V, that same test put 12 bags in without breaking a sweat. The numbers behind that gap are significant. The CX-50 is running considerably fewer cubic feet than most of its direct rivals, including even the closely related CX-5, which actually edges it out on cargo room. It's a strange situation. The CX-50 is physically larger than the previous CX-5, with a wider stance and a more rugged presence on the road, yet the usable storage behind the rear seats is actually smaller. Picture trying to fit a stroller, 2 rolling bags, and a grocery haul after a long travel day. The CX-50's cargo floor is going to run out of room before your list does. Rear seat headroom is also tighter than the segment average, so the squeeze isn't limited to cargo. For buyers who prioritize hauling capacity or frequently carry bulky gear, the CX-50's interior packaging is going to be a regular frustration, not an occasional one. And the frustration doesn't stop there, because the technology inside is carrying its own set of issues. Number 4. Confusing infotainment interface. At first glance, the CX-50's tech setup looks solid. A 10.3-inch infotainment screen, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a wireless charging pad. The spec sheet reads well, but the real-world experience is a different story, and it comes down to a design decision that Mazda has been committed to for years. The system is controlled through a rotary click wheel mounted on the center console, not the touchscreen itself. For most of Mazda's interface, touch inputs on the screen are disabled while the vehicle is in motion, meaning you have to navigate menus through the dial, which creates a learning curve that many buyers never fully get over. Here's where it gets particularly strange. Plug in your phone for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and suddenly the touchscreen works perfectly. Swipe, tap, scroll, all of it is responsive. Switch back to Mazda's own interface and the screen goes back to being a display, not an input device. The inconsistency is jarring. It's not a technical limitation. It's a deliberate design choice that ends up making Mazda's own software feel secondary in a vehicle you're paying premium prices for. Upper trims of the CX-50 are pushing into the low to mid-40,000s. At that price point, a seamlessly intuitive interface isn't a luxury. It's a baseline expectation that the CX-50 is still working to meet, but the infotainment isn't the only thing under the hood of this hybrid story that deserves a harder look. Number 3. Droning CVT in the hybrid. The hybrid version of the CX-50 borrows its powertrain directly from the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, which on paper sounds like a significant advantage. Toyota's hybrid system is proven, efficient, and widely respected. But there's a catch that doesn't make it into the highlight reel. That system pairs a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder with electric motors and routes power through a continuously variable transmission. Under acceleration, the CVT produces a drone that is hard to tune out. Push the throttle on a highway on-ramp or climb a steep grade and the the engine hangs at a fixed RPM while the CVT works through its range, creating a sound and sensation that doesn't match the otherwise premium character of the CX-50's interior. Here's why that matters specifically for CX-50 buyers. The RAV4 Hybrid lives with the same trait, but buyers cross-shopping that vehicle are often more focused on efficiency and capability than refinement. CX-50 buyers are typically paying for a more polished experience. That's a core part of Mazda's brand pitch. When you're sitting in a well-appointed cabin with quality materials and a composed chassis, a droning transmission on the daily commute undercuts the entire ownership experience in a way that's difficult to rationalize away. The Hybrid is a legitimate efficiency upgrade, but the driving experience it delivers isn't as seamless as the price tag implies. And speaking of price tags, that's exactly where the next problem lands. Number 2. Rivals are cheaper. The CX-50 carries a certain premium aura, and Mazda charges accordingly. Base pricing is sitting at $31,395, which puts it right in the mix with key competitors. But spend a few minutes with the trim chart and the value equation starts to shift. The Hyundai Tucson opens at around $31,350, and the Kia Sportage comes in even lower, both offering strong standard equipment loads, spacious interiors, and longer warranty coverage. Climb toward the top of each lineup, and the gap becomes more significant. The CX-50 Turbo Premium Plus tops out at $44,395. That's well into midsize SUV territory, and it's competing with vehicles that offer more cargo space, more powertrain flexibility, and stronger ownership cost advantages. There's also the question of what that money is actually buying. The CX-50's premium feel is real. The interior materials, the handling dynamics, the overall refinement are genuinely impressive. But when a buyer is cross-shopping at the upper trims, they're going to find that the CX-50 is asking for a luxury price without covering all the gaps that luxury pricing is supposed to fill. Complimentary maintenance isn't included either, which is a feature Hyundai and Kia are increasingly offering at no extra cost. Over time, those ownership cost differences compound into a real financial argument against the Mazda, and that argument gets even stronger once you factor in what's waiting at number 1. Number 1. Barely average warranty. Warranty coverage is one of the least exciting things to talk about when buying a new vehicle, but it's one of the most important, and the CX-50's numbers are hard to spin positively. Most buyers don't think about warranty coverage until something goes wrong. Then, suddenly, whether you're covered or facing a 4-figure repair bill becomes the only thing that matters. That's the uncomfortable position CX-50 owners can find themselves in sooner than expected. The CX-50 is coming with a 3-year/36,000-mile limited warranty and a 5-year/60,000-mile powertrain warranty. Those figures aren't unusual for the segment, but the segment has moved. Kia is covering buyers for 5 years or 60,000 miles on the basic warranty and 10 years or 100,000 miles on the powertrain. Hyundai is matching that structure almost exactly. Against those benchmarks, the Mazda's coverage looks thin. Not because anything is wrong with the vehicle, but because the bar has been raised and Mazda hasn't followed. For a buyer keeping the CX-50 for 6 or 7 years, this gap matters in a direct financial way. Once the 3-year bumper-to-bumper window closes, any repair outside the powertrain is coming out of pocket. That's a meaningful exposure on a vehicle with an otherwise premium price point, and rivals are actively using their warranty programs as a competitive tool. That gap alone is enough to tip the decision toward a competitor. The CX-50 earns its reputation in the areas it's always excelled. Driving dynamics, interior refinement, and overall build quality are genuinely class competitive. But fuel economy that trails the segment, a cargo hold that runs out of room too quickly, a hybrid drivetrain that drones under load, an infotainment system that treats its own interface as an afterthought, pricing that climbs fast through the trim levels, and a warranty that simply hasn't kept pace with what Kia and Hyundai are offering. Altogether, the CX-50 still represents a solid option in the segment. Simply, more popular rivals come with serious limitations too, and even the class leader, the RAV4, which you can check out in our next video, has plenty of them. From poor sound insulation to uninspiring handling, the RAV4 has what it takes to turn into a disappointment.